Hi everyone, welcome to day 14 of Just Enough Python for AI. Today is the last day, the last video of this series. And today we are not learning any new concept, but instead we are going to prove to us and to everybody that whatever we have learned, all the Python that we have learned, that is enough to build some machine learning models and even to build some generative AI apps. Let's get started. Today we will test if just enough Python for AI is enough or not. We will be building some machine learning models using Scikit-learn. Now Scikit-learn is another Python library that helps you in building ML models. We will see it in action just now. So in this demo, you will prepare your data for ML by splitting it into training and testing sets and then scaling features. And then we will also build and evaluate a linear regression model. Now, linear regression models are the simplest machine learning models that you can build. Just to make it clear, there is no way I'm going to go into any of the concepts. I'm not going to explain what is linear regression. I'm not going to explain what is scikit-learn and how to use them in detail. That's not the scope of this video. That's an advanced topic for future. All I want to show you here is that irrespective of the concept behind, the Python that you have learned is enough to build this linear regression model using scikit-learn. So the first step to building an ML model is to first split the data. For example, if you have a data set of 1000 records, 1000 is very less, but just for our simplicity, let's say if you have a data set of 1000 records, you cannot use the whole data set for training your model, because once you have trained, what you will test on? Nothing. There's nothing left. You have already used the entire data set for training itself. So what we do, typically we divide the data set into training set and testing set. And typically we keep 20% of the data set for testing while 80% for training. You can in fact change it. You can make it 70-30 or 85-15 or 90-10. That's up to you. But in general, it's a 80-20 split. Also, for our model to work properly, we need to scale the features to the same scale. We will see what I mean by that. So first, if it's the very first time using scikit-learn, you will have to install the library. I'm going to skip this line. Here, I am importing some of the libraries. Pandas, NumPy. All these are me importing packages from scikit-learn library. Now let's build some machine learning model. To start, let's first read the dataset. We are using the same dataset that we were using before, that is Titanic dataset. Sorry, I did not import it. Now we can execute this line. So we have read our Titanic dataset. Our goal is to predict the fare based on passenger class, age, sibling, spouse, this column, and then parent, child, which is this column. So given these 4 columns, can we predict the fare? That is our goal using linear regression. So for that, we will first define the target. The target is the fare column. So we are saying y is equal to df, and then we're just taking the fare column as the target. And these are the features, all the columns that you use for training to eventually do some prediction. Those are called features. So our x is our these 4 features. So here we are defining our x and y, our features and our target. Next, we handle the missing value. Now, apart from missing value, in the real life scenario, there will be more steps for cleaning the data. I'm just showing you one here. We just check if there is a missing value, and if it is, there is missing value for age, we know. So we need to impute that missing value with median or something else. We are using median here. Next, we need to split our data set into train and test set. And this is the syntax that comes from scikit-learn, not from Python. This is not a Python concept. This is a scikit-learn concept. This is how it has been defined in their documentation. Nothing new about Python here. So even if a Python expert who has been writing Python code for the last 10 years, if today is the first day he is seeing scikit-learn, it will be as new to him as it is to you. These concepts are coming from Scikit-learn, not Python. And that's why I've been saying that there is no need to learn an entire programming language. Instead, learn as much as you need and then get to the good stuff, which is building models, building solutions. Instead of spending another month learning the OOPS concept of Python, you can get to Scikit-learn and learn how to build ML models. Next, we are doing feature scaling. So if you see the features here, passenger class is, where is this? Yeah, it's a numerical value ranging from 1 to 3. Then we have age that might range anywhere from 0 to maybe 70, 80. Then we have this sibling spouse. Again, it can range from 0 to few numbers, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. And then again, parent child, similar number, 0 to 2, 3, 4, 5. These are not on the same scale, right? Especially age. We need to bring all the numerical features on the same scale. That's why we use something called standard scalar. Again, this syntax is not Python. This is how it has been described in Scikit-learn's documentation. We are using standard scalar here. There are other methods of scaling as well, but here we are using standard scalar. We are applying the standard scalar on both xtrain and xtest. Next, we are saying we want to use the model that is named linear regression. What this model is, not within the scope of this video, but you can understand that this is one of the ML model. In fact, is the simplest ML model. And after that, this is the line that is for training. This one line is actually doing the entire machine learning training on linear regression. And this is the reason we are using Scikit-learn for our model building. It reduces the whole training, the whole ML training, whole model training to one line. Obviously, there's a lot more code behind the scene, but Scikit-learn gives you an abstraction, and then you need to line only like 4, 5, 6 lines of code, and you can train and test your model. So this line right here is training the model, and then here we are making prediction using the trained model. Let's execute these codes. So we have already built our first machine learning model, which is a linear regression model. We have trained our model, and then we have also predicted using our model. But now we also need to evaluate how our model is doing. Now these are some of the metrics that we normally use to test the accuracy of our model. I am not going to go into each of these metrics, but let's just execute it. So we have some value, mean squared error, root mean squared error, R2 score. Now by just looking at these values, I can say that our model is not doing really well. It's not able to predict the fare based on these features very well, because the scores are not good, but nevertheless we have built a model. Let's see the first 10 prediction. So this is our first 10 prediction from the model. What we can do is that we can see the prediction and the actual value from the test data side by side. So you can see this is the actual fare. This is coming from the test set, and this is the predicted fare. Very often they are not very close. For example, this 33 and 51, quite a bit of difference. Some are close, 7 to 15, 17, again 18, almost 14. Some are pretty close, 78, 73, and while some are quite far, 10, 37. So the model is okay. It's not doing really well, and that's the reason you saw not really great evaluation scores. And that's it. We saw that we have been able to build a simple machine learning model without learning any new Python concept. All you saw new was ML concepts, the machine learning concept, the scikit-learn concept, not new Python concept. There is no more exercise for today. I'm just going to go through the exercise solution of day 13. This effectively proves that just enough Python for AI is enough. Anything more is an overkill in the beginning. As you grow in your career, you may at times need to know a bit more of Python, but you will learn it as and when you need it. Whatever you have learned till now will cover 95% or even more of your use cases. For the other 5%, why to spend months now? You learn it when you need to. Now let's look at the exercise solution for day 13, which was for Seaborn. I will not go through the code. You can have a look at the code from the notebook itself. The notebooks are available in my GitHub repo, the link to which will be in the description and the comment box. I will execute the code and show you the output. So the first question was scatterplot. Use the tips dataset to create a scatterplot showing the relationship between total bill and tip. Use hue based on 6 column, customize colors and increase marker size. This is how the output looks like, and this is the code right here. Next we have bar plot. Create a bar plot showing average total bill for each day split by 6. Use a color palette for each choice. And this is our output. Next we have box and violin plots. Compare the total bill distribution for each day using box plot and violin plot. Include the hue parameter to separate by smoker. Let's execute this code and see the output. This is our box plot. This is our violin plot. The code you can refer to from the GitHub repo. Next is heat map. Compute the correlation metric of the tips dataset and create a heat map with labels and a cool warm palette. Let's see. And we are indeed using the cool warm palette. Next is pair plot. Use a pair plot to display pairwise relationship between all numerical values in the tips dataset. Differentiate by the 6 column. And this is your pair plot. This effectively brings to not this video but this notebook. In the next notebook, which is this, we will look at the generative AI solution. So what we're going to do here is that we'll take a PDF. I have a PDF right here. If I see in data, you see I have a PDF here. This is a book by Paulo Coelho. This is a very famous book, The Alchemist. It's a very interesting read. I would recommend, if you haven't read, do read it. And fortunately, it's not a thick one. It's a quite thin book, but it's a good book to read. So I'll be using this book. I'll be giving this book to our LLM, and then I will ask questions based on this book. The LLM should be able to refer this book. The large language model should be able to refer this book and answer my questions. That's the goal. Now, again, I want to make it very clear that I'm not going to explain what is RAG, what is retrieval augmented generation. I'm not going to explain what is a large language model. That's not the scope of this video. RAG is an advanced concept that will come much later and will require more than a couple of videos. Here, I just want to show you that we can build something very simple using RAG concept, using all the Python that we know already. That's the motive of this video. So, let's get started. You have to first install these dependencies if you have not installed them before. I have them installed already, so I'll skip this line. We are installing LangChain and OpenAI libraries. LangChain is a pretty famous, pretty commonly used framework for building generative AI applications. Next, we are importing our libraries here. Since we are interacting with the OpenAI model using API key, we need to set the key. Now, I have set the key in my .env file here, which is here, and then I'm simply loading it here. Do not ever share your own API key. If anybody ever gets hold of your API key, then basically he will be using your API key and you will be paying for it. Next, I'm loading and splitting my PDF text. So I'm loading my PDF file here, and then we are splitting the PDF file into chunks here. Okay. So I'm loading my PDF file here, and then I'm splitting them into chunks here. All this that you see here, all this code is not new Python. This is the syntax. This is how LangChain wants you to use their library. This all is coming from LangChain. And even if somebody who has spent 10 years on Python, absolutely Python expert, but if he is seeing LangChain for the first time, it is new to him as well, as new as it is new to you. So there is no new Python here. All you see new here is the LangChain framework. See, all these things are being imported here. PyPDF loader from LangChain community. Recursive text splitter. Somewhere here, I believe. Recursive character text splitter. What do they really do? We cannot go into that in detail in this video. We can just see if it works or not. Next, we are defining an embedding for our PDF document, and then we are storing it into a vector store right here. This is going to take some time. Okay, it's done. Next, we are building the retriever. And then finally, right here, we are using LangChain and OpenAI to build our QA chain. So as you can see, this is where we are defining the model, the OpenAI model that we are going to use. And then we have other features that we can set. Let's execute this code. Now this pretty much is done. Now our solution is built. Now we can ask questions about our PDF. That is the book that we have loaded. We can ask LLM to summarize the book. We can ask the LLM to maybe questions based on specific parts of the book. You can have your own PDF. I have loaded a book. You can load something else, your love letters, your emails, anything. So I have this question here, which I asked it before already. What is the use of this book? Let's see what the LLM answers. So the response of the LLM is in this variable. We need to show what that variable contains. And we are using Markdown to show our output in a better format. So the LLM said, which is the OpenAI's model here, the book serves as a means to understand deeper concepts, particularly the idea of personal legends and the journey of self-discovery and all so on. If you have read this book, you will understand that this does make sense. The LLM is indeed talking about the book that is named The Alchemist. Maybe let's ask it another question. Let's say, who is the main character in this book? And let's see the output again. The main character in The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is a young shepherd named Santiago. He embarks on a journey to discover his personal legend and so on. So now it's confirmed that the LLM is actually referring to the PDF that I have uploaded. I have given it, and it's giving you answers based on that. What is the use case of it? For example, if you have notes that you want to study for your exam, notes that you want to revise for your exam, if you can give that note to your LLM, it will help you answering questions from the PDF. Maybe there's a book that you don't want to read from end to end, but you want to know what the book is about in a summary. You can use a RAG-based application like this for that purpose. Now, obviously, here we have all this in a Jupyter notebook. You can build a simple UI around it. You can use Streamlit or even Gradio to build a simple chatbot application where you can have a button to upload your PDF and then you can chat with it. That's not very difficult, and that's also not the scope of this video. The scope was that we can build a generative AI application with all the Python that we already know. And as you can see, we have built something. This is our first generative AI application. In fact, this is our first RAG-based application. Anything that you saw here which you did not understand was not a Python concept, but instead it is how you need to use LangChain. This is how you need to use OpenAI APIs. And you get those answers from their documentation. So I hope you will agree with me that we have learned enough Python, just enough Python for AI. This concludes this series, this 14 video series. If you like this video series, if it added any value to your AI journey, I would request you to please like and subscribe. This will go a long way in helping this channel, and this will go a long way in keeping me motivated for making such videos. I will see you in the next one.